AJ. This week, we're gonna pull up your pick of the week is a name for a brand that we've covered in the past, not too recently, but you're liking the electric car manufacturer Rivian, ticker symbol RIVN. What do you have setting up here as a play?
Well, and we've been talking about Rivet, and you're right. We haven't talked about it in a hot minute. And that's because we were talking about it before, and I'm doing basically a retracement analysis. By the way, I told you guys to look out for my guide and master class coming around on the topic of the VIX trade. Look also for my guide and masterclass on doing this retracement analysis because I think it's the gold standard for really being able to understand what's happening with a particular stock or even the broad markets, and pepper in a little bit of point and figure chart, a little bit of Wyckoff method, and you'll be you know whatever it is, heads above where most people who are looking at charts and doing trading on them are with understanding it. Rivian is setting up as a swing trade. And I think that we should be ready to trade it as a swing trade. This retracement analysis is showing that, it's got a little bit of an uptrend and it's doing an unusual pullback. That's what swing traders look for. And so I'm actually looking for that bottom signal. Some of the indicators that I use in my swing trading, swing trading is done very accurately when you've got the right pattern. And I think Rivian is building up. I'd like to see Rivian's pattern stretch out a little bit longer to give me more confidence in the swing trade setup, but the pattern is materializing, it's maturing. And so some of the indicators, once I've identified a pattern that I like to use, are Williams percent R for my leading indicator. So the Williams percent R, usually off the shelf these days, is set up for day traders. So you have to go in and set it. And if you pay attention, you see how I like to set it for my end of day trading. I go 14 days, -10, -90. Um, that's your leading indicator. And that is not going to be your confirming indicator where you actually make the trade. The leading indicator tells you when the pullback is enough. And so you see this little yellow line down here, Sip.
Mm-hmm.
When the Williams percent R dips below that yellow line that I set up there at -90, it's pulled back enough. So we just in the last 2 or 3 days have gotten a good pullback. So now we're going to wait for a lagging indicator to confirm that the swing is in full force. And so this is going to be a quantum swing trade. That's I can't give investing advice to anybody out there, just educational advice. But when you get that confirmation, not before, this might be a good thing. And we could trade the stock, buy the stock and buy and sell it. We could trade a substitute option. And I don't think we need to use one trading at parity. I think you can go out to like June. I think I wrote in my notes that a June 15 call might be just what the doctor ordered. Or you could get a little spicy if you want to, play the anxiety on this as well. You could actually use, for instance, an out of the money. Like I put it out there that if you wanted to go crazy, put a $25 call. So that's an out of the money. It's going to be really inexpensive. Make sure you size the position accurately if you do that, because that's a very speculative play. And then you could even, when you get your exit signal, instead of exiting, put a collar in place and kind of milk this trade even longer. So there's so much you could do with this particular swing trade, so many different variations. But again, you want to wait for the lagging indicator signal, anything from a MACD crossing, or I like to look for a VWAP close above the VWAP 7-day simple moving average, something like that, to let you know that the pullback is done and now we're going to start heading back up. And you could catch that swing in so many ways. And the best way really matters on, what you're comfortable with, what your portfolio is, and make sure you size and risk that trading strategy appropriately. There's a lot of thought that goes into the sizing and the risk analysis on that.
I almost feel like Rivian could be a good like Tesla baby brother idea. They're just not in the headlines as much as the Tesla is with just the anticipation and excitement. But being in Southern California, I see Rivians all the time. It's almost like the new sexy car that like Tesla was, 7 or 8 years ago, and they don't look bad.
No, in fact, same here in the Washington, D.C. area. Rivians are everywhere. So I'm quite bullish on Rivian. And you know what? When it comes to automotive or whatever Tesla says they are these days, it's very difficult to be number one, but it's easy to make strides being number two. And so that has always been the case. Back, I remember saying this exact thing about GM and Toyota and Volkswagen about 15, 20 years ago when they were vying for the number one spot. Being number one and staying number one is actually quite difficult and quite expensive, which makes, puts a drag on the stock. But being number two, you could just be in the tailwinds of who's number one and make all sorts of strides and not worry about, your standing and instead just become a great company. And I think that's where Rivian is.